All right, you guys. So today is going to be a new unit where we are going to be talking about the characteristics of quadratics. Okay, quadratics. It's a new function that we're going to learn today. So you're going to be given a set of 4 problems that are going to look like this, where it's got a graph and there's a little picture of somebody throwing a ball or kicking a ball. And we're going to make some predictions today. So our goal is to figure out, will he catch the ball? How do we know? And where do we think the ball is going to land exactly? And you've got some footballs here that you can kind of move across the graph and everything. And while we do that, we're also going to be learning some vocabulary over here on the left. Okay, so let's look at our first problem. We've got a football player. It looks like he's throwing the ball, and we need to figure out, well, is this guy going to catch the ball? So let's look. So it tells you right here on the graph that this is the highest point that the ball is going to reach. Well, think about it this way. If a ball is thrown in the air, eventually the ball is going to come right back down. Okay. So we're going to kind of map out where this football is going to land. So if I kind of look here, if this is the highest point at, like, let's just say that's 6 yards. Okay. Then I know that the ball right before it hit 6 yards at 3 yards was about 5 feet in the air. So I'm going to kind of like measure that. So that was like 1, 2, 3 places away from the highest point. So 1, 2, 3 places away from the highest point. Because once it reaches the highest point, then it comes back down about the same area, just like on the opposite side of the graph. Okay. So the ball is going to be here. And if I look at this trajectory, and if the ball kept going, do you think that it'll ever reach the football player? Probably not. Okay, so let's look. If the ball started here in his hands, that means the football, once it goes from here, it's probably going to be over here somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to figure out, okay, well, from that highest point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces away was where the ball started. So I may want to move it 6 places to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's kind of where the ball is going. And if I continued further, if I want to figure out where the ball is actually going to land, I can just continue that pattern. And I would say maybe it's going to land somewhere over here. If I said the ball was going to land over here, definitely not, because the ball is just going to hit the ground at this point. So it's probably going to be somewhere between maybe like 14 and 15. So I'm just going to place the football right there. Okay. And I can answer this first question. Will he catch the ball? No, because the ball will reach the ground before at around 14 or 15 yards. And that actually kind of answers the second question. Where do you predict the ball will land? So the ball will land at around 14 or 15 yards. Okay. All right. So this is kind of the path that the ball is taking, and we call this path a parabola. Parabola. It's spelled right here. Parabola. And this is a quadratic graph right here that we just created. Kind of looks like an upside down U. And now we're going to actually label the parabola or that quadratic graph. Okay. Some of these words are new. Some of these words are not new. A word that shouldn't be new is y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is always located on the y-axis. Another word for y-intercept is starting point. So where did the ball start? Well, the ball started right here in his hand. So I'm going to drag the y-intercept over here, and that's my starting point. Okay. 0. Another word for 0 is x-intercept. So if the y-intercept is found on the y-axis, the x-intercept or the 0 is found on the x-axis. That's basically when the graph or parabola finally reaches 0. So it's going to reach 0 over here between 14 and 15. So I'm going to put 0 right there. Okay. Some new words, vertex. A vertex, if you don't remember, probably from like maybe last year in 7th grade, vertex means like a point. And in this case, the vertex is always the highest point on the graph. So I'm going to drag my vertex to the highest point of that parabola. So that ball was going up and up and up until this point right here, and then it started to go down this way. So my highest point, or my vertex, is that point right there. At 6 yards, the ball was 6 feet in the air. That is my vertex. Okay. And the last vocabulary word over here is axis of symmetry. So symmetry, or being symmetrical, means that if you cut something in half, it is the same on both sides. So think of like a butterfly. We don't want to cut a butterfly in half, but if you look at a butterfly and you kind of folded its wings and you opened it up, whatever you see on the left should be the same on the right hand side. So that's what symmetry means. It means it's the same on both sides when you half it in the middle. So our axis of symmetry, well, if I look at this parabola, if I were to half this parabola to where if I cut it right down the center, it should look the same on the left as it does on the right. That axis of symmetry goes right through the vertex. So if I take this line and I drag it over here, and basically what I'm saying is I'm cutting that line right down the center of my parabola. So to the left, it should be, every point should be the same distance away from this line. So like this point right here is 3 yards from the line, because 1, 2, 3. So this one should also be 1, 2, 3 yards away from this line. Same thing for every point. And that line is what we call the axis of symmetry. Okay, so those are the vocabulary words that we are going to be using for this whole unit for the next couple of weeks. Okay, and today, like I said, is all about making kind of predictions. You'll see if you look at the questions that you're going to be looking at today, you got another football question. You want to know where that football is going to end up landing. And then you have this little guy, you got to drag him to where he's going to catch the ball. Same thing over here with the volleyball player. She's hitting the ball. The ball started here in her hand. If you go all the way through, you got to figure out, well, where is this player going to hit that ball? Same thing with your basketball. The player is going to shoot the basketball, and you've got to decide, well, where does the basket go in order for it to actually make it into the basket? Same thing with your soccer ball over here. You got to figure out when that soccer ball is finally going to land on the ground, okay? And make sure that you label every parabola that you create. Remember, parabola is going to look like an upside down kind of U that you're creating here. You can also watch this video to kind of see what we mean by a parabola and the ball, the path the ball is taking, okay? If you have any questions, go ahead and email your teacher. You guys have a great day.